Did you know that the average person makes over 35,000 decisions every single day? And according to research from Cornell University, we get at least 226 of those decisions wrong daily without even realizing it. That's over 82,000 mistakes a year that could be silently sabotaging your success, happiness, and potential. I'm willing to bet you're making at least a few of these 6 foolish mistakes I'm about to share. And the worst part, you probably don't even know you're doing them. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something that affects literally every single person watching this video. We all make mistakes. That's just part of being human. But there's a special category of mistakes that are particularly dangerous, the ones we don't even realize we're making. These aren't just small errors or occasional slip-ups. These are consistent patterns that might be sabotaging your relationships, career, health, and overall quality of life day after day, year after year. The good news is that awareness is the first step to change. Once you recognize these patterns, you can start breaking them immediately. So let's dive in and see how many of these 6 foolish mistakes you've been making without even knowing it. These foolish mistakes aren't just minor inconveniences, they're silent saboteurs that can derail your most important goals and drain your potential. Let me explain why each one is so dangerous before we get into the specifics. First, these mistakes compound over time. A single day of making these errors might not seem significant, but multiply that by weeks, months, and years, and you're looking at massive opportunity costs. Second, because they operate below your conscious awareness, they're incredibly difficult to identify without someone pointing them out. It's like having a slow leak in your tire that you never notice until you're stranded on the side of the road. Third, and perhaps most importantly, these mistakes create a gap between your potential and your reality. They're the reason why so many talented, hard-working people end up frustrated, wondering why they're not achieving the results they deserve. Now, let's break down each of these 6 foolish mistakes and see the real damage they can cause. Mistake number 1. Mistaking busyness for productivity. The first mistake is one I see everywhere in our hustle culture: mistaking busyness for productivity. How many times have you felt accomplished after a day of running around, answering emails, attending meetings, and crossing off small tasks from your to-do list, only to realize days or weeks later that you haven't made any real progress on your most important goals? Here's the truth. Being busy feels good. It gives us that dopamine hit of accomplishment. But true productivity isn't about doing many things. It's about doing the right things. A study from the Harvard Business Review found that knowledge workers spend an average of 41% of their time on discretionary activities that offer little personal satisfaction and could be handled competently by others. That's nearly half your working hours potentially wasted on tasks that don't move the needle. What to do instead? At the start of each day, identify the one task that would make the biggest difference if completed. Focus on that first, before the distractions of the day begin. This simple shift can literally transform your results within weeks. Mistake number 2, information consumption without implementation. The second mistake is one I used to be incredibly guilty of: consuming endless information without actually implementing anything. We live in the information age, where knowledge is quite literally at our fingertips. Books, podcasts, online courses, YouTube videos. There's no shortage of content telling us how to improve our lives. But here's the problem. Many of us have become information addicts rather than implementation experts. How many books have you read or courses have you purchased without actually putting the knowledge into practice? I'm betting it's more than a few. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. Reading about fitness won't give you a six-pack. Watching videos about investing won't make you wealthy. Studying productivity hacks won't make you more productive unless you actually implement them. What to do instead? For every piece of content you consume, Extract one actionable takeaway and implement it immediately. Better yet, go on an information diet and focus solely on implementing what you already know for the next 30 days. You'll be shocked at how much progress you make. Mistake number 3, neglecting your physical foundation. The third mistake is perhaps the most fundamental, neglecting the physical foundation that everything else depends on. We've all been there, skipping workouts, grabbing fast food because we're too busy, cutting sleep short to squeeze in more work, or pushing through exhaustion with caffeine and willpower. But here's what we forget. Your body isn't just a vehicle for your brain. Your physical health directly impacts your cognitive function, emotional regulation, decision-making ability, and energy levels. A study published in the Journal of Sleep Research found that just one night of poor sleep reduces your cognitive capacity, equivalent to being legally drunk. Another study from Harvard showed that regular exercise improves memory, thinking skills, and even grows new brain cells. Yet we continue to sacrifice these fundamentals in pursuit of productivity, not realizing we're actually undermining the very performance we're trying to optimize. What to do instead? Treat sleep, nutrition, and movement as non-negotiable appointments with yourself. Schedule them first, then fit everything else around them. Remember, no one on their deathbed ever says, "I wish I'd spent more time answering emails." Mistake number 4, emotional reactivity instead of response. The fourth mistake is one that costs us dearly in our relationships and reputation: emotional reactivity. We live in a world designed to trigger emotional reactions. From social media algorithms to workplace politics, external forces constantly push our emotional buttons. And when we're triggered, we react, often in ways we later regret. That angry email you sent without thinking, the argument with your spouse that escalated over something trivial, the defensive response to feedback that could have helped you grow. These reactive moments chip away at our relationships and reputation bit by bit. The space between stimulus and response is where our power lies, but most of us have never developed that space. We just react automatically based on our programming and emotional state. What to do instead? Practice the 5-second pause. When you feel emotionally triggered, take a breath and count to 5 before responding. This tiny gap is often enough to shift from reaction to response, allowing you to choose your words and actions rather than being driven by temporary emotions. Mistake 5. Comparing your behind the scenes to others' highlight reels. The fifth mistake is one that's become epidemic in the social media age. Constantly comparing ourselves to others based on incomplete information. We scroll through carefully curated images of other people's lives, their vacations, achievements, relationships, possessions, and unconsciously compare them to our own complete reality with all its messiness and struggles. This isn't just harmless scrolling. Research from the University of Pennsylvania found that limiting social media use to 30 minutes per day led to significant reductions in loneliness, depression, anxiety, and FOMO. The truth is, everyone struggles, everyone has doubts, everyone fails, but most people don't post about those moments. We're comparing our complete movies to everyone else's highlight reels, and it's making us miserable. What to do instead? Practice comparisonitis awareness. When you catch yourself falling into the comparison trap, remind yourself that you're seeing a highly edited version of reality. Better yet, use that energy to compare yourself to who you were yesterday. That's the only comparison that matters. Mistake number 6. Deferring happiness to the future. The sixth and final mistake might be the most tragic of all. Deferring happiness to some future achievement or acquisition. I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be satisfied once I buy that house. I'll feel successful after I reach that milestone. This is what psychologists call the arrival fallacy, the belief that when you arrive at a certain destination, you'll be happy. But here's what actually happens. You reach the goal, feel a brief surge of satisfaction, and then quickly adapt to your new normal. Soon you're looking for the next thing that will finally make you happy. It's a hedonic treadmill that never stops, and many people spend their entire lives running on it without ever experiencing sustained contentment. What to do instead? Practice present moment appreciation. Each day, identify 3 specific things you're grateful for right now. Train your brain to find satisfaction in the journey, not just the destination. Remember that happiness is a skill and a choice, not a result. Now, here's the insight that changed everything for me, and I believe it can do the same for you. All 6 of these mistakes share a common root. They come from living on autopilot rather than with intentionality. Most people move through life reacting to whatever comes their way, following the path of least resistance, and accepting default settings in their lives without questioning them. But the most fulfilled, successful, and genuinely happy people I've ever met do exactly the opposite. They live with intention. They question defaults. They design their lives rather than just accepting whatever comes. The secret isn't working harder or knowing more. It's living with greater awareness and intention in every area of life. And here's the good news. You can start right now, today, with a single intentional choice that breaks the autopilot pattern. That's all it takes to begin the shift. Let's recap the 6 foolish mistakes we've covered. 1. Mistaking busyness for productivity. 2. Information consumption without implementation. 3. Neglecting your physical foundation. 4. Emotional reactivity instead of response. 5. Comparing your behind the scenes to others. 6 highlight reels. 6. Deferring happiness to the future. Each of these mistakes might seem small on their own, but together they create a life of frustration, unfulfilled potential, and missed opportunities. The good news is that awareness is the first step to change. Now that you can recognize these patterns in your own life, you have the power to make different choices. Remember, small changes, consistently applied, lead to massive results over time. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start by addressing just one of these mistakes, and you'll begin to see ripple effects across everything you do. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 6 mistakes resonated with you the most? Have you caught yourself making any of these recently? Share your experience in the comments below. I read every single one, and your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if you found this video valuable, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button to help more people discover this content, and subscribe if you haven't already for more videos on living with greater awareness and intention. Until next time, remember, the quality of your life comes down to the quality of your choices. Choose wisely.